This morning's first speaker is Allison Sara Phelps, a woman I am proud to call my daughter, who will be speaking about yoga and aging, but also talking about a hot topic called mindfulness. She is currently employed by the Muscatine Community Public School District, where she was hired to provide services to elementary and high school students. She has in the past worked at the local homeless shelter and managed a fitness center, and on the side currently owns and runs Muscatine Yoga. She embodies all the qualities of a Beta Sigma Phi, and over the years has participated in many of my Gamma chapter's volunteer activities of giving back to the Madison community. Allison graduated from Edgewood High School here in Madison and attended the University of Iowa, starting out in communications. There you go. And shifting to an associate degree in equine science, her first love. She owns 3 canines and 4 equines, which provide a great sense of joy and tranquility to her and her husband, Dustin. I know you will enjoy her perspective. Please welcome Allison Sara Phelps.
Okay, let's see if we can get this on. Not really a podium person, so I might get that out of the way and do a little demos at the end. That might be kind of fun. Okay, can you all hear me? Yes. Okay, good. Well, good morning. Good morning. That was a very nice introduction. Okay, as my mom said, I'm Allison Phelps. She likes to stick the Sara in there because we just got married a year ago in Muscatine. I went to the University of Iowa, but what she didn't say is that I changed my major like a bazillion times. And so I apologize for that, Mom and Dad. My dad's in the back, out-of-state tuition, but it led me into the field I'm in today because, of course, my freshman year I'm looking for courses that maybe weren't as hard, sympathy, but I took a rest and relaxation course. I'm sure my parents were like, you took a what? 3 credits, they let you do that? But really, a lot of those tools that I learned in that rest and relaxation course, I still use today. I think it's something that is really missed. Ooh, lighting. Whoa. I think it's something that's really missed in today's society, the mental health aspect of just decompressing. Dad, did you do that?
I don't know.
Really missed in today's society is the rest and relaxation. A lot of us don't take time to just de-stress, right? And so that can have a lot of effects on us physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So with that, after I did my equine science, got out of there, that was my first passion. I had some jobs here and there, and I really just didn't find what I was looking for in the jobs along the way. So I decided to go get my teacher training. Iowa City has Hot House Yoga, and I took my first class. I had already committed to the teacher training. There it goes. And I hated it. I really didn't like it, but I'm like, I've already paid for this. I have to continue in it. So I kept going. I actually walked out of my first yoga class because it was so intense. But on either side of me, I think they kind of took me under their wing. It was a 70-year-old couple, and I was like, great, I'm next to this old couple. They're going to be able to, at least I won't be the worst one in the room. Well, I was really surprised. They were the ones doing like the shoulder stands and the headstands, and I'm like, what is the deal, guys? And they said that they started yoga 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, to me, that's like crazy. I would have been 10, but they were 50. They started yoga because they had to. They had no other choice. Nothing was working. They were on 100 different medications, I don't know, 4 or 5. And the side effects of the medications were actually way worse than whatever it was trying to cure. So they're like, we had to change something or else we wouldn't be here today. So that always really stuck with me. And I was still the worst one in the class, but I kept going and I kept trying, and it was like when I stopped trying, my body started feeling better. So that was kind of my journey into yoga. You hear a lot of people talk. I hear a lot of people talk when they come to class or before class, and I'm trying to kind of plant the seeds. You guys should try yoga. Well, they always say to me, I can't try yoga because I have this going on. I have a knee problem, I have, back problems, I have this ailment going on, high blood pressure, low blood pressure, cholesterol problems, everything. I hear it. It's kind of like saying, I am too dirty to take a shower. Right? Really? Well, I can't do that yoga pose because I can't look like that perfect person on social media. That's ridiculous. You're not supposed to look like that perfect person on social media. No one can. And you don't know what's going on in their body. You don't know if the pose that they're doing right now, that back bend looks like they're cut in half, is, maybe they have shoulder issues. Maybe they're not supposed to actually be doing that for their body. When I do yoga, I always remind people in my class, do yoga for you. Don't do yoga for the person next to you. Certainly don't do yoga for me. That's not why you came to class. Do yoga for yourself. In yoga, the group that constitutes 38% of yoga classes around the world, it's people that are 50 and above. The second group is people 39 to 49. So yoga is not a young person's fad. Maybe maybe that's come out on social media as that's the main thing. It's this young person's fad. It's girls in yoga pants. It's actually really not true. Most of my classes are half men, half women. So I think yoga got a really bad rep for being this thing that maybe 33-year-old women who are homemakers and wear Lululemon and do all this stuff, that may look pretty going to class, but it really has nothing to do with yoga. So there are a lot of things that I want you to know about yoga that have been brought to the forefront that really they don't matter at all. In yoga, you do your spiritual work. Is yoga a religion? No, it's not. Some people have a faith-based practice, but it's actually whatever you believe in, it can strengthen that for you. Yes, historical speaking, it came out of India and has a lot to do with Hinduism. Those were the people that kind of brought it to the forefront, and then it trickled over. But there are Catholic priests that live in Buddhist monasteries, and they say that it strengthens their spirituality, it strengthens their belief. It helps them to be a better Catholic. So it doesn't have anything to do with a particular religion, but if you choose to make it, you are strengthening your faith in whatever that faith is. Whatever your greater importance is in your life, it can strengthen that spiritually speaking. So your spiritual work, it affects the body. You stretch and you strengthen the muscles, and that affects your circulation, your digestion, and your breathing. You calm and strengthen the nervous system, and it affects the mind. You cultivate peace of mind, and it affects the nervous system, the immune system, and the cardiovascular system. Yoga says that if you look clearly, you will see that everything about you is connected, and everything else, from a therapeutic standpoint, it provides you the insight that you improve the functioning of any one organ, it improves the functioning of all organs. Okay. Now, it's about optimizing the function of every system in your body, right? The muscles, the digestion, the circulation, and the immunity. It's about emotional well-being, spiritual resilience, buoyancy, and joy. It's a human being's main function basis of your evolution is joy. So yes, there are bad things that can happen to you along the way, but the foundation of everything is joy. No one comes out of the womb and is just naturally a bad person. They come out and they're joyful. Yoga looks beyond the cholesterol and the blood pressure to stress and the role of the mind in perpetuating it, and your emotional temperament, your connections to other people, and whether you're living your life in accordance with some larger purpose. So say you might be temporarily healthy. You can use yoga as a preventative medicine. Yoga is as close to a one-stop shopping as you can find. And it's been proven through studies to reduce stress, increase flexibility, improve balance, and promote strength. And it has a different view from Western medicine. So they always say Western medicine, Eastern medicine, it sounds kind of hippy-dippy. Well, what constitutes health, and this may be a big part of why it's effective, the absence of symptoms is in no way equated with health in yoga. Health to a yogi extends far beyond not having a headache and knee pain, or even being cured of cancer, but rather thinking that the two are in competition. Thank you. Jeez Louise, putting everyone to sleep. I mean, let there be light. I come on stage and the lights turn off. I hope it's not a sign. Okay, yoga will help you the most out of whatever other care you receive. So whether it's alternative or conventional, it can amplify the benefits. And since yoga can often allow you to use fewer drugs and use them in smaller doses, the chance of side effects is lessened. I'm not up here saying that drugs are bad. I think they're great. Modern medicine is a blessing. It's a huge part of why we are healthy today. But if we can start to take ourselves off lesser doses, then there are a lessened chance of having side effects with them. Who's on a medication? Any medication. Who's ever experienced a bad side effect of the medication, right? So it's one of those things, if you can lessen some of those side effects, why not? Why not try it? And you don't ever have to be good at it. There is no being good or bad at yoga. There's just practice. It's called a yoga practice for a reason. So, properly chosen yoga practice is extremely unlikely to interact in a harmful way with any other treatments. It's just a big compliment to them. So, think your way thin. A lot of people start yoga because they want to be thin. They want it for the exercise standpoint. Well, we can't solve problems using the same kind of thinking that created them. Anyone know who said that? Albert Einstein. Okay, I like all of these things. The quotes, they help me remember. It's like the affirmations. It just helps you remember. The energy flows where the mind goes. Ever heard of that? Right? So, you are what you eat. Heard of that? So, you are what you think, right? It does make sense. Your mind is a powerful tool, the most powerful tool that we have. The thoughts you think, both consciously and subconsciously, are the messages you send to yourself throughout the day. And they're vital life force. So pranayama, in yoga we have this thing called pranayama. It's called the life force energy. It sounds crazy, but it's just everything that flows through your body. So your blood helps to heal you, pranayama, breath flow. When you take a deep breath in, sometimes you just hear people say, just breathe, or when you're in a really tight, tense situation, a lot of times it just helps. Breathe. And you always feel better after the breath. So that's what pranayama is. It's vital to your life force or lack thereof. And along the same vein, telling thoughts swirling around in our mind, and it can drive us crazy. Noticing your thoughts is the first step to mindfulness. It's also the first step to meditation. If you're one of those people that's like, oh, I can't do meditation, I tried it once and it's just way too hard. Meditation can be mindful walking. It can be you're paying attention to yourself, mindfully walking. It can be doing something you really enjoy, reading a book. As long as you are in the moment, aware of what you're doing, Not just, have any of you ever driven home from work or someplace and you get home and you're like, man, I don't remember that drive at all. That's called mindless sleep. And it happens all the time. What we are really, really good at is distraction. And distraction is a skill that we've trained ourselves to learn. It's the past and future tripping. We forget how to be mindful because, anyone have Facebook? Of course you do. Some people don't. You're the select few. God bless you. But Facebook, you can be on Facebook for 1, 2 hours, 3 hours, and it's like you get off of it and you're like, what did I see? But then again, what didn't I see? Right? We just trained ourselves to be so distracted in the moment. We need to reboot ourselves and train ourselves to be aware in the present moment, what we're doing right now, whether we're gardening, whether we're paying attention to our kids, grandkids, parents, whatever it is, paying attention right now in the present moment, that's mindfulness. So, next, yoga as a form of exercise. That's really what is being projected. It's an exercise. That's what most people would say yoga is right now, right? So, by definition, yoga is the ability to quiet your mind and cease agitations. So, I teach to high school kids 3 days a week. I teach full-time, but I'm at the high school 3 days a week. I'm at the elementary school twice a week. And I walk into the high school, they all look pissed. It's like every day, and I'm like, you guys have no idea, it gets worse. So, if you're pissed now, you gotta revamp that attitude. I walk in and I'm like, who is angry with someone in the room right now? And they're all like, or who is, have you been angry this morning? Well, yeah, this person kept shuffling and they kept moving their foot around, and it's just so annoying. Everything is so annoying. Or, oh, I can't believe they did that, or this happened. And I'm like, it's a choice to choose to focus your attention on what you want to focus your attention on. And they're like, what? And I'm like, if you choose to be annoyed with this person, fine, but it's a choice. If you choose to just not accept whatever they're doing and pay attention to what you want to pay attention to, great. I was at the elementary school and this kid is like, he's having some issues with social skills. And I think that happens more and more nowadays because everyone's always on their games or on their phones. So no one ever has the time to hit someone or be on the playground and accidentally do something and get in trouble for it and then learn from that mistake. So it's happening more and more that these life lessons aren't being taught from an early age because they're always on their phone. There's no consequence to doing a video game. It's just like, oop, I lost, now I'm going to move on, try again. So these connected social skills with other people are not happening. Those life lessons are not happening. And so I see that more and more in schools. So yoga is really good because it helps you be aware that there are consequences to certain things. And those life lessons have consequences and it's able to happen and you're able to wrap your mind around it, if that kind of makes sense. But it's to quiet the mind and to cease the agitations. When yoga first started, compared to what it is now, there were so many less. It's so much less to compare it with. The agitations way back when, it was like a big storm came and they were stressed over it. Or a dangerous animal came and they were stressed over it. Now it's like you can go home, but you're still tuned in because you're on your phone. It's the craziest thing. I walk around in elementary school and they all have laptops. From kindergarten all the way up through 5th grade, I see these kids and they all have laptops. They're just walking around and they have these little cute Macs and they're just typing. You can never get away from these social interactions, but they're not actually face-to-face social interactions. And then you never get to develop those emotional reactions. So it's really important to start to bring this mindfulness into everyday life because then it allows kids, parents to have an awareness of how they're feeling. Okay, so, and that just all builds with this stress. We're always stressed. We never get time for ourselves, whether we're in our car or we're listening to music. There's this one study, I was at a sound healing workshop, and that can sound kind of hippie again, but it's really, really cool. So this sound healing workshop, she brings in all these bowls and it makes sounds, and then she did this one study, and it's just, she's like, it's all about sound vibration. And I didn't understand what she was saying until she said, and I like gardening. I love gardening, and I got that from my mom. I hated it. She made us Saturday mornings, get up, let's go weed the garden. I am the worst mom in the world. But it's so funny. Now it's like, it's my peaceful. It's my meditation. I'm outside and I'm working with my hands, and I actually really like it, and I don't like to tell her that because, of course, I don't want to tell her she's right. But, so anyways, back to the sound healing workshop. The lady, Natalie Brown, she is a genius, but she was telling me this study about there's 2 greenhouses, and they're pretty close to each other, so environmental factors were the same. Got the same amount of sun, rain, wind, darkness, cloudiness, whatever. And so they were doing the effects on, does sound have effect on how abundant these plants grow and flourish? Same plants, I don't remember what they were, but huge greenhouses. So one greenhouse was played heavy metal, rock, rap, Eminem, I Hate My Mom, that type of music. And then the other greenhouse played soft, soothing, classical, bird sounds, maybe some nice jazz music. And the other greenhouse had almost half larger plants, greener leaves than the other greenhouse. Now, why is it? Why is that? It's the amount of vibrations that hit the leaves that send these plants into kind of a therapeutic, well, same thing with us. When we're constantly stressed and agitated from the sound waves coming at us all the time, whether we put it on ourselves because we react to things, or whether it's just happening around us and it takes a toll on our body, it's the same thing. We need to be aware that other things are happening around us, but we have a choice to react to them or not. And so that's what yoga gives you. It gives you that choice. It's the process of taking that breath. I do this thing with elementary kids, especially the ones that are more likely to use their body as a defense mechanism. I do this thing that's called pause, breathe, and smile. And when I first did it, one of the teachers was like, man, and I'll change his name, Johnny was doing this really weird thing. And I overheard the 4th grade teachers talking about it. And they're like, yeah, he was just acting really strange. And I see him every Thursday at 2 p.m. because he said that's when it fits into his schedule the best. I'm like, okay, I'll see you at 2 p.m. And then I found out that that's his science time, and he really doesn't like science. So he's having trouble at recess with kickball because he doesn't like when the other kids call him out, but that's part of the game. He just is not understanding that being out is not a bad thing, but it's just something he has to kind of deal with. So the pause, breathe, and smile. You pause for a moment, you take a breath. What does your breath do? It helps regulate your system. It helps you check in with your body. Now, the pause part of it is great. The breathe part of it, you're aware of your breath. And then the smile part, you flip your perspective from being really agitated in the moment to knowing that you can choose whatever reaction you want. So the next time you get angry or agitated, I give you this challenge. Try pausing, breathing, and smiling and see if it works. If it doesn't work, at least it's free and you can say that it's crazy, whatever, it didn't work for me. Okay, just a few more things that I want to go over, and then we'll get to some demos, and those are the really fun things. If you've tried a yoga class, great. You probably know some of the benefits of yoga, how it makes you feel. But it's also nerve-wracking going into a class because you don't know what to expect, and it's an out-of-body experience. It's an out-of-the-box experience. I remember the first yoga class I took my mom to. You probably hated it, right? She hasn't been back. But anyway, if I would have gone over some of these tips, who knows? Maybe she would have gone back. And if it doesn't work for you, if it's not something that speaks to you, fine. Find something that does speak to you, because movement affects your body, your immune system. It keeps you going. A body in motion stays in motion, right? So there's many different types of yoga. Hundreds of different types of yoga. There's power yoga, yoga flow, vinyasa, stanga, all of those names, hatha. I found yoga hatha. And ha means sun, tha or ta means moon, and it just means balancing out the body emotionally, physically, spiritually, left, right, up, down. It helps you balance your body out, however you need balanced out. So if one problem's going on in your body, you're going to solve the issues with balancing out the body as a whole, not just trying to fix that one thing, not just putting a Band-Aid on the thing, actually figuring out, well, maybe why this happened in the first place, maybe why this is stemming. If you keep having issues, and it's like a spiral, well, this thing happened, and then this thing's going to happen, and I broke this part, and this snapped, and whatever else. Well, maybe there's something else going on in your body you're just not realizing. Yoga helps you dig deeper. It helps you prevent things from happening. It helps you become aware of it. A lot of people go into the doctor's office and they say, my back hurts. I have back pain. Well, if you look along your spine, where? Your spine is so long. Maybe you have a knot up here that just won't go away because you constantly cross your legs. And we're going to see, usually when I say that, everyone takes their legs and crosses. Or maybe it's because I know, everyone likes to full screen. Maybe it's because you slouch, and I do that, and it's like in the classroom, everyone starts going like this. And maybe it's because you constantly hold your head like this. Well, that makes sense, right? If you're like this all the time because you're sitting like this and it's just more comfortable, well then of course you would have a knot here. Try to rebalance your body when you're not doing anything. If you're someone that sits in a chair and your spine is rounded, well then your pelvis is tilted. It's putting a lot of pressure right here. And then when you ask yourself to sit up straight in yoga, you're like, yoga hurts, I'm never going to do it again. That happens, right? So give it a chance. If you don't like it because you think, well, I have to get down on the ground and I can't do anything on my wrists because my wrists hurt in yoga. Well, find a different type of yoga. Find a restorative yoga, find a yin yoga, find a light flow yoga, find a meditation yoga and learn about it. If you learn about something, you have the knowledge and it's not so scary. If you thought that teacher was nuts and they said something to me that I didn't like, pick a different teacher. Look at the reviews on the teachers. Some people have had teacher training that lasted 2 weeks. And in my opinion, it's really, really hard to learn a skill in that short of time. Now maybe they're informational junkies and they could really do it. They could pass whatever test. It probably can be done, but it would be hard to do. Pick someone that's experienced. Pick someone that when you tell them your ailments, when you tell them about your injuries, they say, yes, I've seen that before and this is how I can help you. Pick a teacher that is really good at body alignment, slower, so you can get the gist of what you're supposed to be doing. If you're like, I didn't understand any of that and I don't feel good about it, tell them about it, ask them. Find a new studio because yoga can help you. It really can. There's so many different types of it. And if you don't want to go to a studio, there's something called YouTube. Go on YouTube. It's free. Type in, I have a problem with my ankle, my ear, whatever your problem is, type it in. It will pop up. I promise you someone has had that issue before. Use YouTube. Then you can do it naked in your own bedroom. Then you can do it wherever you scary. Don't do it in front of a mirror or whatever. But you are in control of how you move your body. If a teacher is telling you to do something that doesn't feel right, don't do it. I always pre-rep my class. Every single time someone comes in, I don't care if they've been there for 100 classes, I always tell them, don't do something if it doesn't feel right tonight. Say they started with me 5 years ago. Well, it's not the same body. It's changed. If their balance is bad tonight, I always blame everything on the weather. So at least they can feel a little bit better. If you fall out of a pose, who cares? If you fall on the ground, who cares? You are doing yoga for yourself. Be okay with your own body, and I promise you a body in motion stays in motion. A body that's sedentary collects congestion. It collects, your fascia is something that's supposed to be moved. If you are seated all day long and you're not moving, the elasticity goes away, and then when you do ask your body to move, it hurts. Right? Someone laughs. Yeah, it hurts. So think about it like that. Your body is supposed to feel good. A lot of people don't know how good their body is designed to feel. They just have chronic pain and they wonder why. If something's not working, try something new. You will find something. Use your own judgment. Listen to your doctor. Most yoga teachers are not doctors, but you will find some that are. And it's really neat because 5 years ago, 8 out of 10 doctors did not believe in the mind-body connection. That's crazy, but that's what they were taught. So nowadays, a lot of MDs are going to yoga teacher training because they see how much it helps, complements their patients. It's really neat, and it totally works, so try it. Own judgment, give up comparisons. Just because someone next to you is doing some weird headstand, standing on their fingers, something or other, that doesn't even really, I don't even really want to do that because I'm in yoga for longevity. After those two 70-year-olds stood next to me and they were doing the things that they were doing, I'm like, that's really cool. They have a glow about them. Now, if I can ever get my husband to do yoga, but that's another story. Sometimes when you're just too close to the person, anyways, that's for another rainy day. I might have to bribe him, but anyways. So a few poses to start your practice with. Dad. Don't let him fool you. Cowboy boots and all. Okay, a couple yoga poses that are really easy. Come on up. All the way up. A couple yoga poses that are really easy that actually seem like they're way too easy. Mountain pose or Tadasana. And if any of you are like, I just like the way the Sanskrit poses feel on my tongue with Tadasana. Say it with me, Tadasana. Asana is pose. So all the Sanskrit pose names, a lot of them end in asana. All that means is pose, the pose. And then the tada is mountain. Okay, so I want you to stand hip width apart. Go, come on. Okay, so Tadasana. Stand hip width apart, and then I want you to look down at your feet. How many toes are not facing forward? Now you wonder why your hips might be a little unbalanced, right? Knock, knock. Okay, so heels point back, toes point forward, shoulders are above the hips, and just spread your fingertips. And with elementary kids, I'm like lightning bolts coming down through your fingers. But it's a really strong pose. Mountains are strong, so everything's like the imagery, used as imagery. And then, this is kind of the hard part, and it's weird because we're in a room with a lot of people. Some of them, you know, other. Anyway, so close your eyes. Man, we could hear a pin drop. You never hear this in a school. Okay, so I want you to take one step and just root your foot down. Yeah. Now take the other step and root the foot down. Do you feel a little bit more solid? Same muscle, same standing, but you are solid. Now if you have to peek to open your eyes so you don't fall over, peek. Now I want you to open up your collarbone a little bit more. And what that does is it opens up your lungs. I remember with horseback riding, they were always like, I just remember this over and over again, when in doubt, stick them out. And that opens up your lungs, so your diaphragm opens. Now, I want you to take a deep inhale through your nose. Exhale out of your mouth. Let your shoulders drop down. A lot of shoulders will drop just by breathing. Now, I want you to lengthen up through the crown of your head a little bit more. And then open your eyes. Soft bend in the knees. Try not to ever lock the knees. How solid do we feel? There's a lot to mountain pose. There's a lot to just standing. Next time you're in a line doing some mindless thing like waiting in line for the bank, waiting in line for the grocery store. Gas station. Oh, the worst. Yeah. Now I want you to just stand in mountain pose and just take a breath in. And see if you can this is your mindful activity. This is your meditation for the day. You tuned into yourself. You did this for yourself. It makes you feel a lot better. It makes you actually feel lighter. It makes you feel lighter, but also grounding down. Now, next one, tree pose. And maybe we'll straighten you up a little bit. Now, tree pose, I want you to bend one knee. I don't care what knee it is. Lift it up, your hip flexors. Now, from tree pose, if you can't balance very well on one foot, that's okay. That's why it's called a practice. Practice. Now, you can always drop the big toe down and then lift it back up again. Drop it down, lift it back up again. That's also your hip flexor, that's your glute, and that's your core. Building a strong core is really, really important for the balance. Now, if you want to take it a little bit further, place the bottom of the foot on the inside of the ankle. Now the big toe can stay down, that's okay. But if you can, place the bottom of the foot on the inside of the leg. Maybe the calf, maybe the knee, maybe the thigh. But it all depends on the flexibility in your hip and the flexibility in your knee. I know, right? Now, can you imagine doing this on the dance floor last night? And I have to tell you, when I watched the videos on Facebook of you guys all dancing, I mutilated my speech and script. I'm like, this crowd is too fun for all the boring stuff. And now, if you'd like, tree pose you'll see done in a bunch of different ways. You can have the hands together at your heart center. You can also lift them all the way up to the sky. Now for those of you with tight shoulders, I want you to just have a little bit of elastic going. Move that fascia around. If it's tight, it could just be in the skin. Woo, strong feet too. Now take a deep inhale. Focusing in on yourself. Exhale, lower it back down. Relax. Nice job, Dad. Okay, now switch sides. Okay, now switch sides. So, whatever you do on one side, do on the other. And you'll start to notice one side is probably a little bit more comfortable than the other side. What yoga is it's just about bringing yourself back into balance. It's not perfection. It may never be, and of course one person in class was like, well, I don't feel a difference. And I'm like, well, you're full of. But it's a lot of just knowing what side is more balanced than the other. Because when you go into a doctor's office, you're like, well, this side feels like this. And they're like, huh? They have to kind of actually go into it. It'll make you become a lot more aware of what is actually going on in your body. So go ahead and try it on the other side. Now the bottom of the foot can just stay down. That's okay. You could also have it on the inside of the ankle. Now find the arms. Wherever you want the arms to be, that's fine. Hips face forward. Shoulders are above the hips, when in doubt. And then find those arms. Yeah, stretch it up. Imagine roots growing down through the bottom of your foot. And then lift up a little higher. Because when you relax in a pose, Then you're able to stretch just a little bit more. When you just go quickly into a pose, your body's like, this person's not listening to their body. I'm not going to let them stretch fully. So from here, I want you to, as slowly as you can, transition down. A lot of people just like to fall out of the pose, or just go right into running, or right into the exercise that they're doing. It's those instances, transitions, that's when you hurt yourself, because you're not paying attention to your body. Next one, we're going to, and this is eagle, it's kind of hard, so if you don't like it, you don't have to do it. Yeah, my dad knows what's coming. Okay, so one arm underneath the other, elbows crossed. Yeah, I see some people doing it, amazing. And then start to bind the arms all the way around. If you're tight in the shoulder blades, this one might be kind of hard. If you're tight in the biceps or triceps, this one might be kind of hard. And then if the palms can come together, amazing. If they can't, just be where you can be. Now from here, we're going to take it a little bit further. Try to bend one knee. What helps is finding a point, it's called a drishti, finding a point and just staring at it. So maybe it's my dad's watch. Maybe it's my dad's button. Maybe it's a speck of dirt on the wall. Whatever it is, just stare at that point. And then I want you to notice your face. Is your face really tight? Kind of. Relax your face. That's not doing anything for you. It helps you start to become aware, mindful, of where you're holding on to unneeded tension in your body. When you're tense, the blood has a really hard time flowing. That's your immune system. Now take that bent knee and wrap it all the way around. For those of you who've been doing it for a while, you're like, hurry up, lady. Now, eagle. If you can bind it all the way around, great. If you can touch the big toe to the ground and it's crossed, great. That's fine. Now, it helps you regulate your side. It helps you find that center of gravity. You're not too far back because you'll fall back. You're not too far forward because you'll fall forward, side to side. It helps you start to become a little bit more balanced. And that's what you want. The balance in your body. Everyone has cancer cells in their body, right? We all do. It's just not letting those cells grow too high. Everyone has germs, everyone has cells, it's just finding the balance in your body. Finding the mental balance, finding the physical balance. Okay, now another really good one, you can do it seated or standing. Let's do it seated, because a lot of times we're seated. Come on, Dad. Okay. A lot of times when we're seated, like the whole presentation, a lot of people were just seated. Next presentation, maybe you stretch, you use your time wisely. Take your knee, bend it, and hold on to the knee. Feel kind of good? Does it feel bad? Now, if it feels bad, loosen up. Learn to listen to your body. Your body's pain sensors are there for a reason. They say, stop, it's not ready for that yet. Or they say, that feels really good, maybe a little more. What else you can do is maybe move the knee around in a little circle. Warm that joint up. I like envisioning someone said, move that joint up. And I'm like, it sounds kind of nerdy, but just, make that joint a little bit, your fascia gets tight, so we're just going to loosen it up. Now, knee problems. If you have had some knee issues, be gentle with this one. Hold on to the knee, and when you do have any movements in the knee, a lot of times what will help is flexing the foot. When you flex the foot, when you take it from pointing to flexing, that helps keep both sides of the knee balanced. So from here, I want you to just take it and cross the ankle over the knee. And if you can do that, great. If this pose doesn't speak to you, don't do it. Now, if you want a little bit more to open up the hip flexor, take the hand and just gently drop it on the knee. Anyone feel anything? A lot of times when there's silence, that's when I know you're really feeling it. Now, just hold it here for a little bit, but breathe. The breath helps you relax the body. When you are tense and you're asking yourself to stretch, it's like fighting fire with fire. Does that work? No. Try to combat the tightness with relaxation. And the breath, take an inhale, exhale it out, and see if you can ask for a little bit more in your stretch. You almost always can get a little bit more out of the stretch. Second side. Now, if you just fling that leg down, that's the transition, and that's a lot of times when you hurt yourself. Always gracefully let the body go down. Now, if it doesn't look gracefully, but you're slowing it down, that's okay too. Now, take the other side. What you do on the other side is just bend it in. What you do on one side, do on the other side. Notice how this side feels. Is it a little different side to side? Maybe. Maybe if you didn't notice, do it 10 more times and then tell me. Now, roll that knee around. Move up this joint. Maybe you're a little bit more flexible on this joint. You can even do it in bed, lying down. If it's hard in a chair, you can even do it in bed when you wake up in the morning. You're being mindful. You're taking a little bit of time to meditate. Focus in on yourself. Clear those thoughts before the craziness of the day hits. And you can reverse the circle. Now, I know I only have you for a couple more minutes, so just bear with me. Ankle on the knee. If you can, hug the knee and great. If it feels better to drop that knee down, go for it. But breathe. When things get tight, when you get stressed, emotionally or physically, you stop the breath, you cut it off. And we know, I know, isn't it so true? Watch a baby breathe. They are perfect. Somewhere along the line, we screw them up. Watch them breathe. They not only breathe with their chest, but they also breathe into their diaphragm. Yes, when they're upset and they start to feel stress, then they start to do that and crying. But then watch them rest and watch them on a regular basis. It's full, deep breaths. Get back to that. And then go gently all the way down. Now, Dad, you did so. I wish I had a prize for you. You did so good. I know. Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay, shoulder stand. You understand? Do it. I'm really happy with my mom, so I'm not going to make my mom do anything. Yeah, good job, Dad. Okay, so that's all I have. Any quick questions? No? Okay, yeah.
How many times a week should we do yoga?
Such a good question. How many times a week should we do yoga to begin with? Really, really good question. The shorter, the better. So, meaning the more consistent but shorter is better to start out with. So if you've got 10 minutes to do yoga a little bit more consistently throughout the week, maybe try 2 or 3 times a week, if you can. Now, if you can do it 4 or 5 or 6 times a week, yes. But if you can't, any amount of time with yoga is better than none. My recommendation is 2 to 3 times a week, and if you've got 20, 25 minutes, take it. Now, if you can get to 1 group class a week, that's great to start off with. But don't feel like you have to be at these 90-minute classes 3 or 4 times a week, because you don't have to start. And it probably won't even be beneficial. And don't be intimidated by the really hard flow classes, because that's not even the whole, maybe that looks cool and it brings a lot of people in, but that's not the whole basis of yoga. It's to quiet the mind and lessen or cease the agitation. And in doing so, it helps you physically. But yeah.
What's the difference between doing yoga in a room like this versus a hot yoga class?
Ooh, yeah, hot yoga. So, Doing yoga, room temperature, I always recommend room temperature, not cold, because cold locks up joints. Cold makes you tense. If you can warm up your space a little bit, that's great. Just as long as it's like 70 degrees. If you can do 75 degrees, great. If you can't, wear a layer. Because the warmer you are, then the more your body is apt to allow you to physically stretch. Hot yoga, it's in a room that's anywhere between 99 degrees and 105 degrees.
Wow.
And you know what that does? Sweats out any bad thing you've ever done over every single year of your life. It's all gone. It's all gone. And you know when you've been really bad because you look down at the mat and it's puddled. But what it does, it's a cleanse for your body. It cleanses. Even in a regular temperature room, people will sweat. And I'll see beginners, and they sweat a lot. And then people next to them who've done a consistent practice are not sweating at all. Because maybe they don't have all those toxins. Or maybe their body's a little bit more loose, so it's not as strenuous. But it does take practice. If you're going to sign up for a class, challenge yourself to do at least 3 classes. Do not give up after 1 class. If you're only going to go to 1 class, I don't want to say don't go to it at all because you'll still get a benefit out of it. Try 3 classes. Each time you walk into that room and you start breathing, even if you just go into the class and lie down the whole time, I always give everyone that option. Every class you go to, you'll learn something about your body. You'll figure out something that you can use your whole life, and maybe it'll change your perception on your body. Your relationship with your body, your relationship with others, because when you really value your body and you don't have this negative attitude like, oh, I'm so stiff, I'm so sore all the time, or, okay, at least I went there and I tried it, I did it. It changes what you do during the day. When you have a negative attitude, you start to not want to do things. When you wake up and the other day I woke up and I'm like, man, I could really say, gosh, I don't want to get out of bed. Or I could say, I am really happy to get up today. Just change. Even if you're not feeling like it, change your perspective and see it. It can put another little bounce in your step. It will every single time. It will. Hot yoga is great. I wouldn't recommend it to starting out. I just wouldn't. Teacher that speaks to you, you'll always find a teacher that doesn't. It's on TV too. And you can talk about doing something until you're blue in the face. But it's the experience of actually doing it that helps you. One more little fact, Alzheimer's research. Alzheimer's research. This was really big. It's doing new experiences that you haven't done before, wards off Alzheimer's. They used to think that the gray matter in your brain wasn't able to ever be built again. Just as you aged, it decreased and decreased and decreased. There are so many studies, Harvard did a study, MIT did a study, that the gray matter in your brain is able, by MRI scans, to be rebuilt by giving yourself new experiences. Travel, read new books, do something new. A routine's great. Routines are great. But try to do new things, new groups. The friends that you meet, the new faces you meet, it will ward off Alzheimer's. Your gray matter is the memory in your brain. It's elastic, it's a muscle, you can build it. And that's part of the mental health, that's yoga. Ooh, if I had the opportunity to do yoga in water, I totally would. I've done it, my in-laws have a pool and I have done it in water. It would take a lot of weight off joints, which is sometimes a problem in standing classes. If you can ever do yoga in water, yes, please do. Don't drown or get lightheaded and have other people around you. But you can make it as intense as you want. You can also take it back as much as you want. Know that going into the class. I don't care what teacher it is. I don't care what they say to you. If something doesn't feel right, don't do it. You know your body way better than anyone else ever does. Okay.
Thanks, Allison. Our second speaker today is Sara Adari, and she's going to be speaking.